guys, it's Zhang. We are making pasta today, but we're gonna change up your ordinary pasta and make it extra flavorful and really interesting. Okay, so first I'm gonna start by turning the heat on and drizzling a little bit of olive oil and a touch of butter into my pot, of course. Once it's fully melted, I'm gonna add 1 clove of garlic that I've sliced like this. This is just gonna help flavor up our shrimp, which I'm gonna add next. The shrimp cooks really fast, so just keep an eye on it. I'm gonna season it with some salt and then just flip it over when it's ready. Season it again, and it's ready to be removed. All right, so the shrimp that I used was a peeled and deveined kind, and it's like a medium size. Cooking time in total took about 3 minutes, 1.5 on each side. These babies cook so fast. And so now I'm gonna set it aside while I finish up our sauce. All right, so in the same pot, I'm gonna turn the heat on to medium high. We're gonna add a smidge more olive oil and butter. Not too much, but this will mainly help to flavor our sauce. So I'm gonna add the rest of our sliced garlic. So I have about 4 cloves in here. We want it nice and garlicky. Give it a good mix. I wanna let it open up and get nice and crispy almost for about a minute or 2. Once you see it starting to get golden brown, add your Italian seasoning. We'll cook our spices for a minute just to open it up. You can already smell it. And now if you don't have a jar of marinara, what you can always use for this recipe is canned tomatoes. I typically like crushed tomatoes, but I realize I only have tomato puree, so I'm gonna add a little bit of diced tomato to make it a little chunky. But just go ahead and add it directly into the pot, the diced tomato, and then give it a quick stir so you don't get tomato exploding everywhere. All right. So far this looks pretty plain and simple, right? But we're gonna add a layer of umami and flavor into this that you never probably would have thought of. I'm gonna be adding some yellow miso paste. It's nice and mild, but similar to parmesan, it just adds that really good saltiness that just makes the whole pasta dish super amazing. Whoa. When it does that, just keep stirring. So I'm gonna add my miso paste along with some pasta water to thin everything out. Give it a good mix so that the miso paste dissolves into the sauce. I'm gonna go ahead and cover it and let it simmer for about 5 minutes for the flavors to really meld, and then we're gonna finish it off. All right, it should be ready. Let's take it off. Woohoo! So at this point, go ahead and give it a taste and see if you want to season it with some salt and pepper. If you want it spicy, some red chili flakes would be really good too. And then for our pasta, I've really been into angel hair pasta lately. It cooks super fast and it reminds me of like vermicelli noodles, which I really enjoy too. But definitely you can use spaghetti, penne, whatever kind of noodles you have on hand. Then I'll add a handful of torn basil leaves. I like them pretty big. Adds a lot of flavor. And then I'll add the shrimp back into the pot. We'll give everything a good mix. Let the pasta warm through for a little bit too. And now we're ready to serve. Garnish it with another sprig of basil. And that is a quick, beautiful meal right there. Let's give it a try. It's a really simple dish that packs a lot of punch. Because we added so much garlic and infused it with some butter and oil, it has like that essence in there, and then the miso really comes through and just kind of flavors and rounds out the whole dish. You guys should definitely try this. It's yet another way to use miso that's super interesting and makes your pasta night a little less boring. Now, this recipe is near and dear to my heart. It's one from my cookbook, the Honeysuckle Cookbook, and we are gonna be making garlic noodles with crab. So this recipe was actually inspired by one of the first recipes that I ever made for this channel, and The original recipe was inspired by a restaurant that we ate up in San Francisco that is super famous for their crab and garlic noodles. All right, so first we are gonna start by making the sauce for the garlic noodles. It's really simple. I have some oyster sauce that I'm gonna add to a bowl, some fish sauce, soy sauce, sugar to balance everything out, and then water to thin it all out. All the specific measurements can be found in my cookbook, or I'll also list it down in the description box below for you. Our sauce is done. Now we're gonna get cooking. Okay, so now we're gonna saute our crab, and it's really easy. I just have some regular lump crab that I got from, I guess you can say it's a can, but it's wild and it's fresh. You can find them usually in the seafood section, the fresh seafood section at your grocery store. But first, I'm gonna melt some butter. And then I have some onions I've already chopped up. Throw it in, cook it for a minute. And then because this is called garlic noodles, we're gonna be using a lot of garlic. I have 6 cloves of garlic that I've already minced here, and I'm just gonna add half. We'll save the rest for later. Now I'm gonna add the crab. Try not to break it up too much because you want it to look nice and like lumpy. Then I have some Cajun seasoning and smoked paprika that'll just help flavor everything. The crab in the can is already cooked, so what we're doing here is just kind of seasoning it and making it delicious to add to the garlic noodles. I'm just gonna scoop it back out into a bowl. All right, so for the rest of the recipe, we're gonna start again with the same pot or pan. Bring it to medium-high heat, and I'm gonna drizzle some olive oil and some butter. Now I'm gonna add the rest of our garlic. Cook it for a minute, just until it's nice and golden brown. Then we'll add our sauce. Let it simmer for 1 minute. And then I'm gonna add in some spaghetti. So I'm using half a pound of spaghetti dried, but it ends up doubling to about a pound once you cook it. So I'm gonna add the whole thing in here, toss in half of our crab mixture, and mix everything together. Making sure each of the noodle is coated with that beautiful sauce. And I'm just gonna keep it on the heat until the spaghetti soaks up all of the sauce. Now for this dish, I like the sauce to be rather dry, but if you like it a little more saucy, just go ahead and take it off before the noodles soak it all up. All right, let's serve this baby. With long noodles, I always love to give it a nice twist. And we're gonna go for a flat design today. Let's see if I can do it. Yeah, woohoo! We are not done yet. So because I only used half of the crab in the actual pasta, we're gonna garnish it with more crab on top. That way each bowl gets a nice serving. Now I'll add some Parmesan cheese. It's like a snow crab, get it? And then some slivered green onions right on top for color. Ta-da, there you have it, garlic noodles with crab. All right, let's give it a try. This would make such an excellent date night meal that is sure to impress. But honestly, if you guys didn't want to splurge on the crab, just making it with the noodles by itself is wonderful as a side dish as well. So this dish is a Cajun shrimp one-pot pasta. So first I'm gonna start with our shrimp. I have a pound of shrimp here that I got on sale. It's already peeled and deveined. So I'm gonna season it with a little bit of salt, and then I'll add a little bit of Cajun seasoning to this. Give it a good mix. All right, I'll just let it marinate for about 15 minutes, and then we're gonna cook it off with our bell peppers. So here I have a pretty wide pot. We're gonna cook everything in here except in sequence. So I'm gonna start by adding a little bit of olive oil and turning the heat on to medium-high. Once the oil's hot, I'm gonna add a quarter of my onion in that I've already chopped and let it saute for about 1 to 2 minutes until it's nice and translucent. Then, because I'm using frozen bell peppers here, I'm only gonna use half of the bag. I'm gonna add it to the pot and just cook it off until it's nice and tender. So I really like buying frozen bell peppers because you get a lot of bang for your buck. Not only do you get a beautiful tricolor blend like this, but it's already sliced up for you, and it's just a really easy way to increase your vegetable intake in any dish. Then we'll remove it from the pot onto another plate. It just looks so vibrant and beautiful still. Set it aside, and now we work on our shrimp. I'll add a little bit more olive oil, dump in the whole shrimp, a clove of garlic, and just cook it until it's nice and pink, making sure to turn it over every once in a while. It smells so good. Okay, it's perfectly cooked. Now I'm just gonna transfer everything to the same plate or bowl. Nice, plump, succulent shrimp. All right. So to cook our noodles, I'm gonna start by deglazing the pot with some chicken broth. When you start deglazing the pan, just scrape off the bits, and this is gonna give our sauce extra flavor. So once you've deglazed the pot with all of the broth, go ahead and add a whole jar of marinara. I'm just using store brand marinara here because for a Cajun pasta like this, you're adding a lot of different things. It doesn't need to be the best. Now we'll add our garlic, another teaspoon of Cajun seasoning. Let's give it a mix. And then half a bag of our linguine, so about 8 ounces. So we'll let it come to a boil and just make sure the pasta is completely submerged in the sauce so that it'll cook. I'll cover it up with the lid, and it should cook for about 12 to 14 minutes. Halfway through, I'm gonna uncover it, give it a good mix to make sure everything is coated and cooking evenly, and so that the bottom does not burn. If you feel like the noodles have absorbed too much water, you can always add a little bit more. But this looks pretty good to me to let it finish. And this next step is totally optional. I like my Cajun pasta to be kind of creamy, so I love adding that bit of creaminess from cream cheese. So I'm just gonna add half a block here, right on top. We're not gonna mix it yet, we're just gonna let it melt. Just cover it up and let it continue cooking. We'll just give it a good mix. And now I'm gonna add the shrimp and the bell peppers back in, and then we'll just mix it all together. It's easy to start off with a spatula and then just move things around with the tongs. Ooh, this is nice and creamy. Do you hear that? So our pasta is done, but I like to add a little garnish on top. And because Cajun food just goes so well with cilantro, I'm gonna do cilantro instead of parsley. And then I'll finish it off with a squeeze of lime. This will help brighten everything up and bring out the flavor. All right, let's give it a try. Let's try the shrimp. So flavorful. That is some good pasta right there. It's perfectly cooked, al dente, not too mushy at all. I would say this is like one of my favorite one-pot pastas to make at home. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you guys next time. Bye!